Okay, so let me just describe somebody and you tell me if you've ever met them. Maybe, you've met them in the mirror. So this is a person who walks into a room, and honestly, before anyone has said a single word, they already know. They just know who's upset. They know which two people had a fight in the car on the way over. They clock the host's slightly too bright smile and go, "Oh, something is wrong." And they're just gonna pretend it isn't for the next 3 hours. Nobody announced any of this, right? There was no memo. They just felt it land. Somewhere in the chest, the second they crossed the threshold. The half smile, the pause, the "I'm fine" that wasn't. And everybody around them calls it a gift, right? Lucky you, so intuitive. You always just know. People say it like it's, this lovely little superpower you ordered off a shelf. But here's what's really going on up here. And honestly, trust me, I've got a front row seat to this brain. That radar of yours might be way older than you realize. There's a real chance you built it a very long time ago. Back when reading the room wasn't a party trick. It was how you stayed safe. So, look, if any of that hit a little too close, stick around, friend. This one is for you. So, here's what you and I are gonna do together. We're just gonna open up the hood and figure out what is actually happening in that head of yours when you read a room. We'll look at where this whole thing came from, because honestly, I promise you, it came from somewhere. We'll talk about why it's just so exhausting, even though, it looks completely effortless from the outside. And then, near the end, I want to hand you a slightly different way to hold all of it. We're not here to fix you, okay? You really don't need that. I just want to give you a reframe that might kind of make the next crowded room feel a bit lighter on your shoulders. Deal? Okay, so let's just get into it. So let's start with a part that feels almost magical, because there's a real reason it feels that way. When you sense the mood in a room, you're not doing math, right? You're not consciously thinking, his eyebrows moved 2 millimeters, therefore he is sad. Your body just got there way before your thoughts did. So there's a researcher named Stephen Porges who gave this a name. So he calls it neuroception, right? In plain potato terms, it's basically your nervous system running a quiet background scan of every face and voice in the room. Just checking one simple question over and over. Am I safe right now? And honestly, it answers that question way below the level of words. So that something feels off in here, you get the second you arrive, that lands way before any real thought does. It's your body kind of slipping you a note before your brain has even sat down. Now layer something else right on top of that. So there's a thing called emotional contagion, studied by a psychologist named Elaine Hatfield and her colleagues back in the 90s. And honestly, it's exactly as sneaky as it sounds. So basically, when you're near another person, you automatically, without ever asking permission, start to mirror them. Their posture, right? The tension just sitting in their jaw and the rhythm of their breathing. And here's the kicker, as your body quietly copies theirs, you actually start to feel what they feel. So you wander over to your stressed out friend, and 4 minutes later, you're stressed too. And you have no idea why, because honestly, it was never your stress to begin with. You just caught it, like a cold. A little mood cold, passed face to face. And then there's the radar itself, the raw noticing. So most people have a filter sitting right at the front door of their attention. The boring stuff just gets politely waved away. Background noise, a stranger's shoes, none of it gets through. But for you, that filter just runs loose, so basically everything gets in. The micro shift in someone's voice, the flicker that crosses a face for a 25th of a second, the kind of thing researchers found most people miss completely. You don't miss it though. You just catch the flinch that nobody else in the room even registered. So that's 3 different systems, all running at the same time, all just turned up loud. Honestly, no wonder you can feel a room before you've even taken your coat off. Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. So where did all of this even come from, right? Because not everybody is wired quite this hot. And honestly, the answer for a lot of you is gonna feel a little tender. So go easy on yourself while we walk through it. Let me paint you a picture first. Picture a kid, maybe 7 years old, standing still in a hallway, listening to the sound of the front door, and from the exact weight of that door closing, the soft click or the hard slam, that kid already knows what kind of night this is going to be. Whether it's safe to go say hi or smarter to go quiet and small. No grown-up sat them down and taught them that. They taught themselves because they had to. That kid grew up. The hallway is long gone, but the listening never once stopped. So, reason 1, right? Somewhere back there, reading people kept you safe. There's some striking research from a psychologist named Seth Pollack, who studied children who grew up in homes with a lot of anger flying around. And honestly, he found something kind of wild. Those kids could identify an angry face from way less information than other kids could. A regular kid needed a face to be mostly angry before they'd call it anger. These kids, they'd spot it in a face that was barely tilting that direction. A face that was mostly sadness or fear with just a trace of something sharp. Their brains had quietly cranked the sensitivity dial because in their world, catching anger early was the whole difference between a calm evening and a bad one. So their wiring did something genuinely smart. It built them an early warning system that ran around the clock. Reason 2. So honestly, a lot of room readers were, at some point, the emotional weather station for somebody else. Maybe you were, the kid who managed a parent's moods. Maybe you were the steady one, the peacekeeper, the one who just learned to scan the whole dinner table and adjust the temperature before anything had a chance to blow up. When you spend your early years tracking somebody else's feelings just to keep your own little world stable, you don't only learn a skill, you kind of become the skill. The radar just fuses right onto you, and after a while, you honestly can't tell where it ends, and you start. Reason 3, and honestly, this one's almost funny in a sad way. It worked. That's the whole problem, right? Your hypervigilance did its job so well that your brain basically went, amazing. We are keeping this thing forever. It never got the memo that the danger had passed. So now, honestly, here you are, a grown adult at a perfectly lovely Sunday brunch, and your system is just still quietly sweeping the room for threats that left the building about 20 years ago. Sound familiar? Yeah, I kind of figured it might. Now, stay with me, because this next part explains an awful lot. So look, let's talk about the hidden truths sitting underneath all that noticing. The stuff nobody bothers to print on the gift label. Truth 1. So, a whole lot of the time, you're just not actually reading the room. The room is reading into you. Remember that mood cold from earlier, right? You absorb so much, so fast, that you can honestly lose track of where other people end and where you actually begin. Your friend's anxious, so now you're just anxious too, right? Your coworker is a little cold with you in the morning, so now your entire afternoon has a stomach ache. So you think you're just calmly observing the weather, Nope. You're standing out in it, soaked to the bone, holding everybody else's umbrellas. Truth 2, and look, this one stings a little. So your radar just throws false alarms, constantly. Remember those kids who saw anger in faces that were mostly not even angry? You basically run a grown-up version of that all day long. Someone goes quiet, and your brain just instantly decides they're furious with you. Someone takes 9 whole minutes to text you back, and you've already written and starred in the entire tragedy. 3 acts. Big emotional finale. The same beautiful system that catches the real thing also catches like 100 fake things. And your poor body, honestly, can't always tell the two apart. It just treats a tired face and a genuinely angry face like the same fire alarm. Truth 3. The exhaustion is not in your head. Well, okay. It's technically in your head, but it's real. So there's some brain imaging work suggesting that highly sensitive people show stronger activity in the regions tied to awareness and empathy whenever they're around other people's emotions. Translation, in potato? You're not imagining that a normal dinner party flattens you. Honestly, you did more work than everybody else there combined. They went to a party. You ran threat detection software on every face in that room for 3 solid hours, and then you smiled and drove yourself home. Of course you're wiped, right? You earned that tired. Every ounce of it. And this is the part nobody warned you about, because there's a real quiet cost to living this way. and it's sneakier than the exhaustion. I mean, when you can feel everyone's mood, you slowly start to feel responsible for everyone's mood. You feel the difference there, right? Noticing just curdles into managing. You walk into a room and within about 10 seconds, you're already kind of doing these tiny invisible repairs, softening your voice for the tense one, cracking a dumb little joke to thaw the cold one out. So you basically become a full-time, unpaid, emotional janitor, and nobody in the room even knows you're working because the whole job happens behind your eyes. And honestly, the worst part of it, you slowly stop being able to find your own feelings in all of that noise. When you're constantly tuned to everybody else's channel, your own signal just gets buried under the static. Somebody asks how you're actually doing, and you genuinely have to pause because you've spent so long monitoring the room that you straight up forgot to check in on yourself. You're the person everyone just calls the second things get bad. But when things get bad for you, funny how quiet that line just suddenly goes. And if you ask me, that is the saddest little tax this whole trait quietly charges. And most of the people paying it never see the bill arrive. All right, deep breath. So let's gently put the pieces back together now, because I really do not want to leave you sitting in the heavy part. Here's the thing I genuinely need you to hear, so lean in for a second. That radar of yours is a finely tuned instrument that learned to read the weather because once upon a time, the weather actually mattered enormously. There's nothing wrong with you for carrying it. You're not broken. You're just running rare software, the kind built for a world that genuinely needed it. And that software still does so many beautiful things every day. You're the friend who notices the tiny crack in someone's voice before they've admitted that anything is wrong at all. You're the one who catches the "I'm fine" that clearly isn't and quietly goes and sits down right next to it. That is not a small thing, friend. In a world full of people who miss each other completely, you actually see people. Personally, I think that might just be one of the most underrated things a human, or a potato, can possibly do. But here's the part I want to gently nudge you toward, okay? Look, you're allowed to aim that radar at yourself sometimes. All that exquisite, careful attention you pour into everyone else around you, try just turning even 10% of it inward. Notice your own jaw when it clenches up. Notice the moment a room has taken way more from you than it has handed back. You spent literal years learning to read everybody else so beautifully well. Maybe the next person genuinely worth reading that closely, that kindly, is you. And listen, you do not have to fix every single mood you happen to feel. Feeling it was never some binding contract to go repair it. Some rooms are just heavy, and you're completely allowed to notice that. Take a breath and keep right on walking through. So here's where I'll leave you, friend. If you saw yourself somewhere in all of this, and I've got a real hunch that you did, do me one favor before you go. Send this over to the one person in your life who reads every room they walk into and has somehow never once been told that it makes complete sense. You already know exactly who I mean, right? Their face just popped into your head a second ago. They've probably been carrying this quietly for years, just waiting for somebody to put the right words to it, waiting to hear that the very thing they keep apologizing for might actually be one of the best things about them. So go be that somebody for them. It just takes about 10 seconds, and honestly, it tends to land a lot softer than you'd ever believe. And then, come find me down in the comments. Honestly, how many of these hit home? Was it the false alarms, or maybe the brunch that quietly flattened you? And look, I read every comment that comes in, and I love hearing which exact part made you go, oh, that one is me. So just drop it down below, and let's keep slowly figuring out these big, complicated brains of ours together. Stay curious, you brilliant Spud. I'm Spud, and I will see you in the next one.